Hi, my name is Michael Bean, and this is your lesson for myfreeactingclass.com for Monday, June 20th. This lesson happens every Monday from 5 to 6 p.m. UTC -7, 5 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are at 2 lessons to go before our summer break, so join us if you can on June 27th live and in person, and then we're going to be taking July and August off and doing some sort of exciting planning and putting things together for our September relaunch. So in the meantime, if you want to find lessons or sign up for the mailing list or any of these other things, then let me show you where you would go to find that. It is very, very straightforward. You would just go into your browser and enter myfreeactingclass.com, and then kablow, here's what would pop up for you. Ta-da! There'd be a little pop-up saying like, join the community, and you could join the mailing list if you wanted to. Every week or two, I send out something with details. On here, you could find our email address, which especially over the summer hiatus, if you're like, but I have questions, or oh my gosh, there's things I want to know, this would be a good place to start for us. You could also find the video archive, Confidence on Camera Handbook, which is a free download, story questions PDF, which I've referenced many, many times in class, here as a free download as well. I think I may put some energy into completely redoing the website. So if that happens this summer, certainly I will is on my docket for the fall. And I want to make more resources available to actors, and put some things together in one place so that you can find them. There's been a lot of resources that have come up or been referenced over the last couple of years of these classes. And one of the things that I'm going to be looking at is just like gathering what we've already got, putting it in one place where it's easy to find. If you clicked up here on the video archive, that would take you here. If you clicked right here, youtube.com/c/Michael Bean, it would take you to the YouTube channel where the most recent lessons are posted. So last week's self-tape review, Ask Me Anything, the skill or type, how do casting decisions get made, that's just the last 4 or 5 weeks. And there's a whole bunch of lessons on there. All the lessons from the last several years are on there. You can search them as you like. So if you're like, I want to know about self-tapes, then like, there's all the self-tapes, so many self-tapes. And you can scroll through and find the things that you desire. So Christina had an excellent question to get us started, and I'm going to throw it over to her to ask her question, and then you use that as an entry point and use this to get you thinking about next week. Now, next week is a special, like, let's bring it together and help me understand, not just like what you're getting out of this, but like, what is it that you're hungry for? Because I'm obviously offering the things that I think are useful and interesting. I've been an acting teacher for just over 20 years now, teaching professional film and TV acting, and trying to make this as accessible as humanly possible. And one of the things that is really helpful for me is to know what kind of bite-sized pieces are most interesting for you. So Chris, without any further ado, Christina, would you recap the question for the people at home, please?
Yes. So my question was, as you know, acting is really dynamic and you have a lot to focus on in acting. So if you have like a week or like a day to prepare for an audition, or just like anything that has to do with like an acting, but mainly like auditions and things, what would you focus on first? Like, what would be your main thing to like focus on? Because sometimes it can get very overwhelming to like think I have to do this and this and this, and like you just like end up like it gets too overwhelming to do it. So what would you focus on first, and then take it step by step to like accomplish everything that you need to get done?
This is a fantastic question, and I think that is something that's extremely relevant, for actors, whether they are in their teens, whether they're adults, whether they're professionals who are looking to expand, whether they're folks who are looking, to grow to the point where they can do professional work. It's a question that I've heard all sorts of different actors ask, and so I appreciate you kind of bringing it here. So in terms of how you are going to approach the work. So if I decide to interpret your question in terms of like, okay, I've only got so much time or energy per week, like where am I going to put that energy for the maximum benefit? Which I think is a question that actors have all the time. And what they really want is for an acting teacher to look them in the eyes and say, here, this is the thing that is going to work for you. Definitely 100% going to work for you. And hey, if you need to pay somebody money to make that decision for you, and that's what works for you, great. Especially if you've got money to burn, go for it. However, much like I've been saying in these lessons over and over and over again, it is the indecision process that is the hardest. When somebody else decides for you, one of the reasons that's easy is that you then don't second guess it. You're like, oh, great, this person knows what they're doing. I'm gonna do that thing because they told me to. Whew, no indecision. Michael Biehn said, do this work first. If you need that and you want to pay somebody, I will happily tell you what to do. However, because you don't actually need to pay me to take your indecision away, you could just do this for yourself. And you could do both jobs. You could be like, okay, today I am the stern, decisive teacher who's going to tell. So if I'm Michael Biehn, I'm going to say, okay, Michael Biehn of tomorrow, here's what you're going to do. You're going to focus on this one thing and only this one thing for the next 3 weeks. And then me of tomorrow's like, I wonder what stern Michael Biehn of yesterday told me. And I can check, and stern Michael Bihn's like, here's what you're going to do. And I'm like, okay, stern Michael Biehn, you are the like serious, confident, no uncertainty acting teacher who's given me this task. I'm just going to focus on it for 3 weeks. Could you do that for yourself completely for free? Yes. Yes, you can. Would it work just as well as paying me to do it for you? Yes. Yes, it would. But I'll take your money if you want to give it to me. Like, I got no complaints there. So with that in mind, where are you making your decisions? Here is my best thinking about just kind of a general overview, right? Like where are you going to get the most mileage? Okay. And that's really about like, where do you put your focus? Okay. So the things in general, that are going to give you as an actor that are going to help you out, inner landscape work, and so that's therapy, voice work, journaling about your feelings, reading things that or doing things that make you feel on purpose so that you can expand your capacity to feel. And so that's not just like, I'm going to do the stuff that's already really familiar. That's like, I'm going to read poems every day, that make me cry. I'm going to go looking for music that like tears me up, and I'm going to start, making a playlist of like deep feelsy music. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to write in my journal for 5 minutes, every morning, because that's how much time I've actually got or want to spend is 5 minutes. It's physical body things. It's okay, I'm going to get my physical body to the point where I can notice what it is doing in real time, because that's going to be really important for you as an actor. You're going to need to be able to notice, to be able to do the acting, stay engaged, do interesting work. And also, if your face starts doing something weird and you literally do not notice it, that's going to be a problem. And so do you have a strong, flexible body that is especially that you can pay attention to? Right. So then yoga can be really good for that. Dance can be really good for that. Honestly, even though it is not a physical practice, meditation can be really good for that, because it shifts the attention to noticing little details of what your physical body is doing. Sports can be good for that. Martial arts can be good for that. Anything gets you both like moving your body, using your body, and noticing. A story, you could be like, you know what? I only watch comedies, I only read comedies, but instead I'm going to go onto, for instance, I'm going to go and read some award-winning plays. I'm just going to take one from the library, either the public library or the library at my school. If I'm at school, take one play, and I'm going to read one play a week for the next 3 weeks, right? That's what stern Michael Biehn said. So that's just what I'm going to do. But you're like, oh, but there's so many plays. How would I choose? There are lots of ways to make the decision. If you are reading plays that are professionally written, if you're reading scripts that are extremely well written, well, of course, that's what's going to expand your capacity. One of the ways you could do that is by going online and searching Pulitzer Prize winning plays. They give out an award in the States every year. This is the best play this year. You could write Tony Award winning plays. Boom, you'd have a list of 100. All you need to do is pick a few. Now there's this sense that like, well, I have to have everything before I can act, and it is just not true. I want to shift that focus to literally anything that you do that expands you, that expands this circle in some way, is going to make you a more skilled actor. And then of course, the skill work involved with like actually doing acting, I should make that circle a lot bigger in here, because I think that piece of it is really significant. I still am a big believer in the idea that talent is practice that other people don't see. And so if you get the practice, that's how you get to the point where other people experience you as highly talented. And if you're just starting up and it feels overwhelming to just pick up a scene and do a scene, or pick up a monologue and do the monologue, okay, then here are some pieces that you can get to instead. You can start meditating for 5 minutes a day. You can you pick up a monologue. You can go to best movie monologues, type that into a web browser, spend half an hour like making a little folder with a handful of monologues, and one a day you can read. And then if you wanted to get some skill practice, you could even try reading it out loud. But even just expanding, here's what excellent writing is like, here's what excellent stories are like, what can I see in those, what can I notice in those, right? You could look at those stories and think about or use the story checklist, the 5 simple questions that are in the PDF that is on the My Free Acting Class website. Hey, free resource, there it is. You don't have to think about it. Look, it's Michael Biehn looking in the eye saying, don't decide. That making decisions for yourself is hard. Just do it the way I tell you. Now, are my 5 questions the best? No. But then you don't have to decide, and they're as comprehensive as I could make them while making them simple. So you can go through and go story, style, relationships, changes, wants, good as places and to start. So that hopefully answers a little question. Now, something that's not here on this list that I think is actually like a pretty interesting division, between that you have to answer for yourself, or again, you can pay me and then I'll ask you some questions, being like, I think this is your style. Now here's what to do. That's fine. I'll take your money but you don't have to give it to me, because you can make this decision for yourself. Because guess who knows more about what's happening inside you? You do. Nobody else. No acting teacher. It doesn't matter how confident they are, or how empathic they are, or how intuitive they are. Guess who's got the inside scoop? You. Totally you. And you're the one who's going to be there, present with your work over your entire life. So not whatever acting teacher you've decided is a guru of awesome. Just that's my opinion. So given that, what you can do is think about what works better for you. Does structure work better for you? And you're like, what works for me is if I have structure, if I have like a taskmaster who's like, boom, do these things or else, discipline. Right. And truly, like, some people work way better that way. They're like, yeah, without that, I literally don't do work. If there's no deadline, nothing. I literally won't do it. Now, Michael Biehn sometimes falls into that category. Yes. Now the other side is what lights me up, like what delights me. So listen for the pull and not the push, right? So do you need a push or do you need a pull? And which one is going to get you to actually do the practice? And again, you can have ideas, but then you can just try each one, be like, boom, 3 weeks of push. Let's see if that helped me do the work. Nope. I mostly just felt terrible about myself and also was like, screw you, me of yesterday. I'm going to go watch Netflix instead. And then I'm going to do 3 weeks of pull where I'm like, what calls to me? What speaks to me? Yeah, you're right. Me of yesterday. I'm going I'm called to Netflix. Oh, I actually just did nothing for 3 weeks again. You know, the right. You don't have to know before you get there, but I think like, do you want to give, do you want push or do you want pull? And if you think about it in terms of like, as though you were going to find the perfect acting teacher for yourself, somebody would like look you in the eyes and say, here's what you're going to do for the next 3 weeks. And they're like, and this is a fun game. I've never had a class where I'm like, you can just give me your money to do this thing, because but it's fun to say because it's true. If you're like, but I can't decide. Okay, fine, I'll take your money. But like, the right, pick one for God's sake. It's just about like trying something to see what works. It's okay to not know what the best answer is until you get there. But if you don't make any choice, or if you choose halfway, you're like, I don't know, maybe sort of kind of this, if not the opposite, but only sometimes. Actually, I'm not sure, I'm going to change my mind after an hour. Then of course you're never going to get enough information to know if it's a good fit for you. So in making that decision about like, where are you going to put your circle? Are you going to focus on inner landscape? Are you going to focus on story? Are you going to focus on like just working on some material? Then I would say like you of today, that's going to make like a crisp, clean, clear, like I'm just going to decide this for Christina of the future for the next 3 weeks. Make a decision about whether you're going to push Christina of the next 3 weeks and be like, yeah, Christina of the next 3 weeks, listen, you're like, here's what you need. You need to be disciplined. You need to, like, you're going to wake up, you're going to do the things, you're going to go to the library on Monday. Incidentally, if you're making a push plan, like setting a actual schedule, on Monday at this time, I will go to the library, that on Tuesday or at this time, from this time to this time, I will spend the time on the internet looking at exactly this stuff, right? Like the more concrete your push plan is, the more likely you are to actually do it. Yeah, and that's just a like human animal body thing. Like again, not me. This is James Clear, Atomic Habits. This is everybody who is like writing about this. Many of whom make that their literal life focus. I've only just like absorbed little bits. You can go find it out. You don't have to take my word for it. But if you're going to push, make a plan. And then see if you stick to it. Right? Be like. Right, you of tomorrow. That's like, oh, cool. Me, Christina of yesterday, the like serious acting teacher, Christina, made this concrete plan. Now we're going to stick to it. And then you can give Christina of the past feedback, like, hey, Christina, you were a little over ambitious. It's actually really hard to do 2.5 hours of focused work. Like, I'm tired after I get home from school. I just want to watch Netflix. Like, you're so mean, Christina of yesterday. Like, maybe that's the feedback you get. But right, so think about your push plan. And if it's a pull plan, then it's like, okay, what's Christina of tomorrow going to be real excited about? Like, what lights her up? What fits within the things that are going to make her a better actor, but that she's really going to want to do, even on a day when she's tired, even when she gets home from school. Even when like she's just come home from work and has stuff going on. Right, what's she going to be like? Yeah, well, it's only 15 minutes, and Christina, the acting teacher, said that this thing that I know I want to do for myself anyway is going to make me a better actor. Oh, and that pulls at me. Like, so yeah, maybe that does help me do my 15 minutes of meditation. Or maybe that does help me like listen to Adele songs and cry, because I'm like, I might not set aside 15 minutes for that, but like, Christina of, last week was like, she was really thinking about me, and she was like, what would really help you expand is to like feel stuff and set aside time for that on purpose. Okay. So do you need a push plan or a pull plan? And then inside of that, where are you choosing to focus? Every single person and every single acting teacher who you talk to will be able to give you a concrete opinion about what you should start with. And just because they're certain, does that make their one decision the right decision? No, not really. Does it make it way easier to say yes to, because then you don't have to take charge of your own career? Yeah, but really, you want to offload that on somebody else? Like, how many years are you going to pay money for that? Forever? Because you could. Right, might as well start now. It's an imperfect process. The sooner you get started, the closer you are to getting information about figuring out how to do it. That's my opinion. There it is. Does that answer your question some, Christina? Okay. Yeah, and then honestly, wait, I'm being attacked by mom. If Christina was like, no, you must tell me what to do. Like, I could tell her what to do, but like, I don't know enough about Christina to like make a clear push plan or a clear pull plan, which is why she would need to pay me money, because I would have to ask a whole bunch of questions to find out about like what she needs and where she's at and her style. And hey, these are all things you already know about yourself that you don't have to pay somebody else money to figure out. But that's, if I was going to answer that question and have any confidence that my decision, would be in the like, cloud of things that would actually be useful for Christina, I'd have to gather a bunch more information. And you probably got the information you need to make that decision. So that, that truly is what I wanted to talk about today. And so your question is perfect, takes me into there. Do either of you have questions about that in any way that you want to ask me before we move on to something else? Okay. When I go back and remake this PDF, which I will, I'm going to make that skill circle a lot bigger. Because I still really do think that that's the thing that ultimately is necessary. And if you've got some foundations going into that skill practice, if you're like, oh yeah, I can notice my feelings, I can notice my body, I can make those adjustments in real time. I know a little bit about what good stories are like. Will those help you as you move into skill things? Yeah, definitely. And in fact, I think that especially with young actors or new actors, those are the kinds of things that other people experience as talent, where they're just like, wow, this person did this for the first time and it just seemed easier to them than to other people. It's like, oh, right. Did they have a little more emotional availability than the other people who were reading it? Or did they just read it and it sounded more honest because they've had more practice reading? Or were they able to take notes and then like notice what was happening enough that they could take the note and keep doing the thing? And then that aptitude, which still, in my opinion, often comes from practice, is experienced by other people as like, wow, but Alex is he's just more talented than me, like he just did it and it worked the first time. And I've been done it 20 times. It's not working for me. And if only I was like Alex, and I'm going to spend the 20 hours that I could spend getting as skilled as Alex, beating myself up instead and feeling shame. And as a result, by the time I'm done feeling my shame and self-criticism, Alex is now 20 hours ahead of me because I just spent 20 hours doing that instead. This is the story of the first 20 years of my acting life right there. Just a little personal disclosure, deeply painful thing presented as a joke. That's something that I didn't figure out for far too long, and times that I could have been practicing. Instead, I was like, but I don't have whatever magical quality it is that lets people do that. And which is why acting teacher me of now is like, it's called practice. People just told you it was magical because they didn't literally know what it was, because they didn't have enough information and it seemed magical to them. So that's my opinion now. Yeah, I could give you stories to back it up, but especially because I teach young people, I have over and over and over again, I have seen folks who come in with a very high degree of aptitude, which is what people call talent, do it for a little while, not have the success that they want, or just get bored and move on to something else. And I've over and over again, I've seen folks who come in with a drive, a passion, a desire to do it, something in them that just makes them want to keep doing it. And if they get that practice over time, they just surpass the folks who come in and have easy aptitude. And I think that is supported by, I think that's supported by the science as well. If you went and read the work of Howard Gardner, who's the guy who wrote a book called the Multiple Intelligences, he wrote about 7 intelligences, Harvard psychologist, from back in the day. That's one of the first works where I saw that prodigies, right? So like musical geniuses. Somebody picks up the violin and it just like, boom, it comes so much faster than anybody else. Statistically, they don't end up at the top of their field, ever. They end up near the top of their field because, because when they're 13, they're as skilled as somebody who's 25. But then what happens is the other people, who have to work at it, keep working at it, and they keep working at it even once they're 25, and then they get better than the person who picked it up and had enormous aptitude immediately. Yeah, and as a result, they end up, prodigies end up sort of near the top of their field, but not actually at the top. And there was something about that fact that I was like, yeah, that's really reassuring. That's like, there's something about that like reassures adolescent Michael Bean that was like, but I'm not a genius and doesn't all feel easy. So I guess there's something wrong with me and I'll never be the magical person. Right. So reading the Howard Gardner book back in the day, when I started teaching, was something that I found reassuring. I was like, yeah, prodigies, take that. No disrespect to the prodigies out there who are watching this, except that you're not watching this. You're just like chilling on the couch because you can already do the thing, right? So, okay, we can hack on prodigies. They're never going to watch this far in the tape. They're going to watch the first 5 minutes and go like, yeah, whatever, I can already do this stuff. Yeah, and then the rest of us will like slowly sneak up on them. And hopefully you all will be like 20 years ahead of me because of, you'll skip the like, 20 years of like, what does that mean about me? And then go like skip right to the, oh, right, I get to just decide, and do some practice and see how that goes. I think that I'm going to save reviewing your next self-tape for next time, Alex, because I want to keep this lesson real concise. I feel like we covered something that's really significant or important, and I don't want to dilute it, by doing 6 other things, which when I'm reflecting on my own lessons from the last several years, it's something I have a tendency to do where I'm like, I'm going to make this really clear point about something that's really important to me. Now I'm going to talk about something totally different. And then I'm going to take questions from you. Ooh, and then we're going to do some self-tape review. and I noticed that when I labeled the tapes later, when I'm like, in this lesson, we talked about, oh, damn, we talked about a lot of different things. What am I even going to title this video? I'm just going to have to pick one of these things at random. Are people going to hate me later when they watch this video? And they're like, okay, the thing in the title of the video, he covered in the first 10 minutes. Like the whole rest of the video is talking about other acting stuff. I mean, this is interesting, but it's not what I signed up for when I clicked on this link. It's a little bit of Michael Bean interior thoughts for you right there. Thank you for joining me. It makes my life so much better to look into your eyeballs, while I give these lessons. And, the folks who watch these on YouTube from wherever they are in the world on their own timeline, also thank you for making the time to show up, because, it truly does make the work more alive and interesting for me to have a live audience and not just be like speaking into the void. And I hope that you're getting more out of it that way, because you get to ask questions live. For anybody who's like, wait, that does sound like a great idea. How could I do that? Well, I'm so glad you asked. All you would have to do to join the folks who are watching this lesson live is go to, that's right, myfreeactingclass.com. And up here at the top, you would click on the link that says click here for today's lesson. And if you're like, but I'll forget before next Monday. If you go to myfreeactingclass.com, it will prompt you to join the mailing list. And then I'll prompt you by sending you an email that says, hey, here's what's happening for today's lesson, and here's the link. And then it's right in your inbox. If you want to send me an email, right down here, info@myfreeactingclass.com. If you are like, actually, this whole thing about like giving Michael Bean my money so he can make decisions, I've got lots of money. I want to give it to some acting teacher to make my decisions for me. Here's where I am. Scroll down, michaelbean.ca. I will never say no to that, but I will also continue to remind you that it is not necessary for you to do the work that needs doing. All right. Thanks for showing up today. I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.